and let's get started. Okay, so quickly recap. We have talked about the Spring Boot high level structure, the idea, lots of introduction part, benefits, advantages, some set of knowledge about the microservices, what exactly it is and how it is going to help us with the modern architecture. And then we have also seen one command line interface of Spring Boot, how we can proceed with the command line interface. And I also told you command line interface is something which is not very popular in the world of Spring Boot. They have that features, but people don't prefer going and doing the stuffs like in command line interface. But yeah, but this option is there, so I have taught you. Let's move ahead, and today we're gonna see how in real-time projects, what are the best approach to work in a Spring Boot application, from where we're gonna get setups and all. So this class we will be talking about from scratch how we can create a Spring Boot application, and under that Spring Boot application how we can write our own custom logic. The all the practical things we're gonna see in today class. You remember I was saying that infrastructure is one of the major problem with many developers, and it is complex in every environment. So if you are in development side, then you have to set up your dev environment. There you have to deal with lots of jars, dependencies, library, all these things. Similarly, in the QA, the set of configurations are changed. It might be that you have some more secure environment. You have the new user sets. So all these things again you have to do, and again it is a time-consuming process. And finally, in the production, also you have a different set of configuration, different set of services, different set of servers that you have to configure. So what Spring Boot people recommending you to, rather than creating a scratch project in your IDE or in your folder structure, they have given a very good tool which you can trust actually. That's called a Spring Initializer. So you have to just type Spring Initializer in your Google Chrome. The first link which you are able to see, it is coming something like this. So this is the start.spring.io, and people preferred, in fact, in the real-time world also, in the company project also, people are blindly using this product, this website to download their Hello World program of Spring Boot. So this UI is very informative, which is giving you the lots of options related to your project. Right now, you can see there we have a two very popular building tool. One is Maven, another one is the Gradle project. Default one is the Maven project, which is selected. And I also told you Maven is one of the building tool, which is helping you to manage your dependency management. So Maven project or Gradle project, if you want, anyone is fine. You can download it. If I get time, then I will show you one Gradle project also, how it is going to be, because most of the company is using Maven only, but some of the company is having Gradle setup also. So we'll talk about it both. But right now, don't change the project. Don't check the language. Now, language is also now three is blindly supported by the Spring Boot people. One is Java, another one is Kotlin, and third one is the Groovy. You remember in last class I talked about it. Groovy is nothing but it is one of the wrapper or abstraction on the Java programming. So lots of boilerplate code you don't need to write in Groovy, because Groovy is having the lots of understandable code. You don't need to put always the semicolons. You don't need to put private, public, all these things. You don't need to write a return keyword. So these are the flexibility we have in the Groovy. And Kotlin is also kinds of similar programming language. You know or not, the official language of Android is now Kotlin. So initially the
Yeah,
complete Android is in Java, but Oracle people has put up a case over the Google saying that even though Java is a open source, the Android people, the Google is not using it in a right way. So somewhere they were violating the copyright of Oracle, and that is the reason Oracle people has put a case on Google. And in USA, Oracle has won the case. He claimed a good amount from Google, and then after Google has decided, let's move ahead from the Java, and they have launched the new programming language called Kotlin. So again, syntax wise and the coding wise, you will not face much problem in Kotlin also. I never got a chance to work on Kotlin, to be very frank, but yeah, I feel that it is similar like a Java. So now if you are an Android developer, you can easily select the Kotlin. If your company preferred Groovy, then usually this combination is good, Gradle project with Groovy. So this is people preferred. But right now we have selected Maven as a project and language as a Java. Now another choice you have is selecting the Spring Boot version. So they are giving the many versions, but let it be recommended one. I'm not going to change anything in the Spring Boot version also. Here is the package name. Whatever package name you want to give, you can give. I have given com.nic. Also, this project is what name you want to give. So I am giving Spring Boot Hello World. So let me give a hyphen. That will be quite good for reading it. So this is your name. This is the description, demo project or Spring Boot. Let it be. I'm going to remove this from the package name. So I just want package name as a com.nic only. Now packaging option. Packaging option is coming right now in the jar and var. So if you are a Java project developer, then you have a two option. You want to deploy your application as a service, which could be a jar, or you want to deploy your application as a dev application, which could be a var. In fact, you have selected jar and later you decided that I want to move into the var, that is easily can be done. Nothing like that. Once you selected jar, you cannot change the configuration for var, and vice versa is also possible. So here,
So basically, the
jar,
Spring Boot application will be a jar, right?
yeah, ideally this is a jar, but it's not like fixed one. Some people want to create their web application, then they need a var also. Recently, I'm working with
But
one of the Morgan Stanley projects. Their platform is supporting only var. So even though we have developed the microservices in Spring Boot, they want to deploy this as a var. So
oh,
it's
so easily like
depends.
there will not be any web files or anything, but packaging will be just var.
Var exactly, and it will be running that var also as a jar only, Java hyphen jar and var. So that is possible. Okay, but when you are doing a var, then as you know, Spring Boot is coming with a embedded Tomcat. I have talked about in last class. So you don't need to install a Tomcat. You don't need to put your jar or var inside that. So when you are using a var, then your intention is somewhere you have your web server like a Tomcat and you want to deploy this. And as we know that Spring Boot is also coming with their own Tomcat. So when you are deploying this var into another external Tomcat, then what you need to do, you have to write some set of dependencies to exclude the inbuilt Tomcat from your application. So that is there. When you are deploying as a var, you have to stop the internal Tomcat of a Spring Boot. So there is something called exclude dependency. I will show you how that is working. Okay. But right now, let's select the jar. We don't want to go into the var because uh, if people are using var, it is somewhere their tragedy is there. They don't want to do by choice. If their infra and system is not supporting, then it's their tragedy to use a var. But 90% case, Spring Boot is used for a standalone service, a standalone application, which is running as a Java application. That is the reason in every Spring Boot application, you will be seeing the main method. Whereas if you see the web application initial days, it is not having the main method. So if you talk about the typical legacy application, which is developed in Servlet and JSP, Servlet is having the do get and do post method. There is no main method. Sometime interviewer used to ask then how web application is working. As we know, Java program cannot run without main method, but in a web application we don't have main method. Then how that is working? So idea is answer is very simple. Internally, Tomcat is having main method. From there, your all code are going to be executed. But yes, that is true. Without main method, you cannot run a Java program. So here I have selected the jar only, that is the recommended one, and instead of Java 11 I have selected Java 8. The latest version of Java is 15, as you can notice that, and from 8 onwards, so it is now paid one. Oracle is charging for license and all, and still 90% company in a Java world, they are using Java 8 only. Yeah, so Spring Boot is supporting the minimum version of Java, that is 8. You cannot run a Spring Boot lesser version than Java. Okay, so yeah, after that you also have some set of configuration if you want. Then there is a lots of options. You can see how the project structure is going to be. This is your prom.xml file. This is coming with you. You know, if you want to download, lots of things are there. Even I never use this. And this is your src folder, which is going to be something like this. So basically it is giving you the high level skeleton how the project is going to be looks like. So for the time being, let's close this part. And here is the another section called dependencies. So Spring Boot is smart enough, as I told you, he's not looking for a version. You don't need to be very careful while putting any external library. So whatever dependencies you are looking for your web application or your Spring Boot application, then it's highly recommended try searching here itself. So if you click on add a dependency, this guy will ask you what are the dependency you need. So Spring Wave is definitely required. This is one of the mandatory one. And then after you have a lots of bunch of dependency, like if you want security is there. If you want JPA is there. If you want MongoDB kinds of things, that is also there. If you want reactive programming, that is also there. If you want
Reactive,
Kafka, yeah, reactive programming,
which and like Spring Reactive is another again module or what?
yeah, it is the flavor of reactive programming. So if you know reactive programming or not, that I don't know, but reactive programming is something which is giving you the something called very high performance. Your thread are never going to be ideal. So this is the different set of programming, I can say. It's a way of doing a programming. And Spring people are very active to adopt that things. So they have created their own library, their own framework called Spring module called WebFlux. So if you see here, the WebFlux. So if you want the reactive flow kinds of things, then you have to go with the WebFlux, and the web server is going to change to Netty, not the Tomcat. So I will highly recommend you go through that reactive programming, how it is, all these things. And if I get time, then I will try to show you one example also under this Spring Boot. Okay.
Java 8, we have seen producer and consumer, right? Is that same?
No, it's not actually the same. Producer is consumer is a typical messaging kinds of it's a common problem with many application, and that's the solution for that. Reactive programming is basically saying to you, if there is any change, you are not going to make a request, rather than the response is coming automatically to you.
Right.
It
Yeah,
is
I've used the Android development. Yeah, I
yeah,
forgot. In we have that
it's a
classes.
call, the node and JavaScript, right? That callback mechanism. So reactive is
Mhm.
working in the same way. So ideally, in
Okay.
every web application, you have a limited number of thread. So if you talk about Tomcat, it is just providing with the 200 thread. So imagine
No.
you got a 200 request, and your each request is a very much time consuming. Imagine. So what will be that? Your thread has taken a request, it's went to the service layer, it's went to the database. There's a lots of operation happening. You have a
After it completes, it will give a call back to us and notify that my job is done. Right.
exactly. So in a typical web application, this particular thread is waiting. It has submitted the
Mhm.
task to the controller. Controller is doing their own processing, and till now the response is not coming back. This thread is blocked, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
imagine each request is a time consuming. Then you have a limited 200 thread which is working for you. what will be the 201 request came and your all thread are busy processing the request. So it is a situation where your thread are simply ideal waiting for the response. So reactive programming came with the idea saying that why these threads is waiting. Their task is to submit the job and let's go and wing out the another request. Now problem came that how the response will be coming to the user, and there the callback mechanism is helping us. So it is
Yeah.
not necessary that the same thread who has taken the request is going to give the response back. So their flow is something, if you look at this reactive programming architecture, then probably you will understand what exactly it is doing. So the threads are in a loop, So these guys are keep on working parallelly. So not a single thread is going to be ideal for a time being. If requests are coming, then it is submitting the request, and there might be another thread who is available, will take the response and sending back. That's something happening, the callback. So this guy is saying, hey, I will submit the request. Whenever the response is ready, just automatically pop up the results to the UI. So
Yeah.
where this is very, very important, like if you talk about the exchange, share market. So you know that in a second, the share price is going to be increase and decrease, and people
Idea.
wants to,
Yeah,
yes,
observable interface. I forgot that name. It's been 2 years. I've used observable interface. Yeah, I remember
yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Spring Boot is providing that flavor also. So now we are okay to download this application in our repository, I mean, in our file folder structure. And after that, you just need to click on generate. So if you click on this control, it is going to download one of the zip file for you by the name, whatever you have given. Spring Boot Hello World is in my case. In your case, it might be that whatever you have. Okay. So this is the one. And what I have to do is I have to unzip this. So if I unzip this, then I gonna get Spring Boot Hello World with this folder structure. So these are the already set up infra with the basic and dependency which you are looking for. All has came with this. So what my next job is to import this in our Eclipse. So as we know that Eclipse is one of the widely used IDE in the world of Java application development, project development. So what I need to do, I have to just go to File, New. There is a import option. Yeah, here is import option. Import an existing Maven project. So if you're not able to see the Maven, you just need to type here Maven, an existing Maven project. Sometimes if you are using the older version of Eclipse, you might be not able to see this Maven project option. So you have to change your Eclipse or you have to manually install the plugin of Maven. So I'm using a quite latest version of Eclipse. So this is giving me this option. So select this, go to next. It will ask you, where is your Maven projects? So my Maven project is here. Until or unless this project is claiming that I am a Maven project, the one file is mandatory for each Maven project is that is pom.xml file. So until or unless if you don't have pom.xml file, Eclipse will not recognize. So I'm just pressing enter here, and it's a responsibility of Eclipse to figure it out in this root structure where is the pom.xml file. So this guy has selected the pom.xml file automatically. We don't need to do anything. If your project is not a Maven project and you're trying to import as a Maven project, this finish button will be not appear for you, because Spring Eclipse is always checking is there any pom.xml file or not. So let's click on finish. So the moment you click on finish, the Eclipse started doing their job. Not only that, in fact, in my application, there is something called project build automatically checked. So if you have your Eclipse also build automatically checked, then the downloading and importing part will be automatically going to be taken care. Remember, Maven is one of the building project tool, you know. So for first time when you are doing a brand new import, of your Maven project, or you are adding some existing, new library in your pom.xml file, make sure that you have an internet connection, because it is downloading the all libraries dependencies from the online repository of Maven. So if you don't have that, then there is a problem. You cannot work in Maven project, and these all things are happening online. Once your all dependency is downloaded, then maybe you don't have internet connection, that is also fine. So right now you can notice that it is downloading the lots of dependencies sources. So if you click on this, it will show you how the downloading processes are happening. So the moment you have imported the Spring Boot Hello World programming, what a Spring Boot is going to do that whatever dependency or library is required for a basic infra setup, it has started downloading the all the required libraries. And once it is done, then you can look at your Spring Boot Hello World application, which is here. Go to the first things pom.xml file and try understanding what is happening here. So here it has taken a parent. Everything is dependent on the parent version. The only dependency is parent, which is holding the versions detail also. And this is required because based upon the parent version, other dependencies of Spring Boot is going to be imported or downloaded. Rest all, you can notice that we have selected the one web. We remember we have selected the web dependencies. This is coming here, but this guy is not having any version details. Similarly, test is again one of the mandatory dependency is coming along with the Spring Boot first hello world programming. So this is for a starter test. And every dependency of a Spring Boot is having the naming convention, something like this. Spring hyphen boot hyphen starter, then wave, then test, then reactive, whatever it is.
Where
Every
IOC,
Mhm.
Spring IOC need not be added here.
That all are come along with their parent itself. I will show you. But yeah, you don't need to do any additional IOC. So the moment this guy is done downloading, then you can go to the Project Explorer, open the Spring Boot Hello World, look at the Maven dependencies folder, and start looking how many jars it has downloaded. So Spring Boot has downloaded lots of jar as a part of your Spring Boot application. And there you will be able to see the IOC also. Can you see the Spring context? Yes, it is here. You will also see Spring Core or Spring IOC. I'm not very sure where it is. Or it could be, yeah. Can you see that? Spring Core. So yes, these all came only by adding the parent dependencies. These are the jar files which Spring Boot has downloaded at the time of starting the application. In fact, downloading the dependencies for you. You will also see one dependency which is a Tomcat embedded. Means it is using the Tomcat as a services in your application. Not only that, all the high level requirement for a Spring people like log you definitely need. You definitely need a Jackson kinds of things if you're dealing with the JSON kinds of a structure. And now this day every application is having the JSON. Also you can see the Spring Boot starter logging. You will see lots of things here, so we'll talk about it, most of the useful one. In fact, JUnit 5 is coming along with the Spring Boot application, which is one of the latest one. Also, you can see the Mockito framework is also came as a part of your Spring Boot. Mockito framework is used when you are using a JUnit, writing a test cases, and you want to mock certain objects. So all these things we will be talking when I will be discussing about the.
One question
Yeah,
I have
please.
here. So now when you have starter Spring Boot starter parent is added,
Mm-hmm.
required for us to add starter web also.
No, this wave came because you remember we in Spring Boot, I have added one additional dependency here.
Right, right. So I was asking, so the same. So now anyhow we are selecting Spring Boot default project, right? So I since so all these Spring Web related MVC web related
Mhm.
jars will be coming default with, even though we not add, right?
No,
It
no,
will not
this
add.
is if you not add a Spring Wave, then all the dependencies related to Wave will not come. Like Spring Wave will not come, a Spring Wave MVC will not come. This is not a part of the Spring Boot starter
So,
parent.
but are those required for our Spring Boot application, developing Spring Boot application?
Yes, because at the end, if you're dealing with a Spring Boot application that is running on the Tomcat server, and when Tomcat server is coming in picture, you must have to interact the things in a way of request and response, client and server kinds of architecture. So Spring Wave is something kinds of mandatory you have to do. But if you have a very customized application dealing with the desktop application kinds of things, I don't know. I never imagine the Spring Boot application without web dependency. But if they have given option, it means yes, there might be a usage of a Spring Boot without web also. You might be playing around completely IOC kinds of a structure. Are you getting my
Okay.
point? You just to deal with the bean and all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Any more question, Hemant?
No, I'm comfortable. I'm already like having a knowledge on Maven and all that. So good,
Okay,
we can further.
super. Okay. So this is the part where you have seen all the required dependency has been downloaded as a part of the Spring Boot starter parent. Now there is a problem, no? So problem is what? These dependencies sometimes can be a bottleneck for you. Yeah. Think about the scenario. Maybe you are not using the Jackson related things. Maybe you are not using the Spring AOP. Maybe you are not using the JSON Smarter or whatever additional libraries are there. So what is the problem here? Problem is in a production, it could be a bottleneck for you. Even though you are not looking for those library, it's came. So do we have any option to avoid this? Yes. There's the option of exclude. You can ask Spring Boot in a pom.xml, hey, I need this Spring Wave, but along with that, I don't need a Spring Wave MVC. Imagine something like this. So there is an option called excluding that. You, as you know the Maven project properly, but still I want to highlight a couple of points which is very, very important. You can notice here a scope as a test. This dependency is having a scope as a test. It means whenever the final jar or final var is going to be created, then this particular dependency is not going to be a part of your final jar or var. Why? Because it is having a scope as a test. And that makes sense also. Sometimes you have a huge test cases written. You have a lots of library related to your testing framework itself. But in production, why we need this testing related things? People are not playing around with the test classes, test libraries. So it is very, very important whenever you are doing a testing related job, when you are adding any dependencies related to testing, make sure that you have a scope added as a test. If you don't have a scope added as a test, then these library is going to be indirectly as a part of your jar library or also the var. And these is simply taking the memory in a production. As you know that production environment is a very critical. In fact, we are writing a logger in our application to make sure that if user don't want the lots of debug statement, we are just giving info. Why? There's a lots of things you have to think. If you're saying I'm done with the development, then take a look and again think, are my code is ready for production? There's something called production ready code. And when you talk about production ready code, then there are lots of scenario you have to think. There should not be a system.out.println. There should not be a lots of debug statement. You have to control that because lots of debugging logger can make your performance down, right? So these are the things you have to think. Similarly, one of the point I have noticed in my application or many developers are missing, they want some testing library, they have added the group ID, artifact ID, that's all. But they forgot to add the scope. And because of that, these library is going to be indirectly as a part of your jar. And that time it is causing an issue in a production. when we are checking that. Currently I'm playing a role as an architect, so this is a kind of my daily work. Any application is facing some performance issue, somewhere the production application is down, somewhere the huge memory is going to be Java out of memory is coming, memory leak is there. So I used to deal with many applications, so I'm used to of seeing these all things, that people are missing the small things. In fact, your private, public, all these things are also very, very important. So you must have to go to think about clean coding, design principle patterns, why to not have a global variable, why it is not recommended to have a global scope kinds of array list map. So these are the things you have to keep it in mind. One of the point I want to highlight it here is the scope. By default, a scope is a compile or implementation. Means if you don't write a scope, it will be a part of your compile environment, and also it will go as a runtime environment. Understood?
Yeah.
Cool. So well, so now we have a Spring Boot. I was also talking about sometimes these charts are not required for you. So Maven is providing that way how to exclude additional library of Spring Boot. So if you go here, there is a syntax you have to find. Can you see that? Under that, there is a exclusion also. What things you don't want. In fact, in the dependencies level also, there is an option of excluding. In Gradle, it is very straightforward, but here you must have some set of configuration. So just figure it out how we can exclude the exclusion. This is the, if you write exclusion, then it will be ignoring. So you have a high level dependencies here, something like this, group ID, artifact ID. But now what you want under that, some of the library you don't want. So that purpose you have to use this syntax so that you are customized. So you should know how to do that also. Well, so you are done, understood the Spring Boot starter parent job, what exactly it is doing. It's time to see now the project structure which we have with us. So we have a .maven, which is not only for Maven project structure. Dot setting is related to something Eclipse. We have to focus on our root business logic under the SRC folder. So why it is required, I will tell you. Like if you look at this, it is holding some wrapper. So what wrapper is exactly talking about is, if you open the properties file, it is having some kinds of mechanism. There it is, if your Eclipse is having the lower version of Maven, it is writing a wrapper on the top of that if certain libraries are not matching with this Maven versions. So this guy is going to wrap around the new latest version of Maven. So I think that purpose it is using. And Spring Boot is asking that Maven people that we want this configuration to be enabled.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah. So high level Maven project is providing with the main and test. Test is for writing your test cases, and your core logic is going to be developed in the main folder. Under main, you have a Java and resources. Resources folder is mainly having the all static files. When I say static files, it is set of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, also the properties file, XML file. All these things are going under the resources folder. So right now, if you see a static folder, templates, and application.properties, these two folders are empty. But if you're dealing again with a web application or war kinds of structure, there you have to provide the view along with your data. That time you can use this static and template kinds of structure. But here you have to mainly focus on application.properties. Well, it is very, very interesting to see that people of Spring Boot has recently realized that the server port initially was 8080, and that is always occupied by many servers which is installed in your system. some of the server in fact not giving you option to change their port, right? So now I am happy to see that these people has realized that server port is something important to change to. Other than that, otherwise, to run a hello world programming, most of the time people have to change their port number. So they don't want any manual coding required right now to run this application, and that is the reason they have changed the server port to 9090. If you remove this configuration from this application.properties, then the default server port will be 8080. And if any of your server is running on the same port, your application boot start will be failed. So the default port is 8080. They have overridden on the top of that called 9090. Now, this application or properties is the place where you can completely configure your application. You remember in the Spring MVC, we have to give the prefix, suffix, and lots of additional requirement is there, like data source creation, username, password, logging related mechanism. Uh, these all things you can easily deal with the application properties. And why application properties they have selected? The reason is this class is not going to compile. If you are having a XML, for example, let's say for a configuration purpose, and by mistake, if you have did any wrong uh, coding there, or if you have missed some set of angular bracket close or open, this is going to give you an error, and this error is going to be caught while running. In fact, while compilation, Eclipse is going to give you error, but still your compilation and building will be successful. So properties file is having the advantage if something went wrong here. If I type something like this is not a problem. Why? Until or unless somebody is asking this guy, hey, this is the key, give me the value, this properties file is not going to give any additional things to them. So if I'm giving to our client saying that, hey, this is the application running on production, if you want to change some set of configuration here, please go and do that. So our client user, who is an end user, they are not very technical. They are mostly functional guys. So those people can easily understand it, and if by mistake they made some mistake also, that is not going to cause any problem to us. That is the reason properties file. In fact, Spring Boot is providing one support also that is called .yaml file, YML file. We will talk about it also in a further tutorial how YML file is working. Well, but the default application is coming with .properties file where you can tune your application configuration. Now, open the Java structure and see what Java folder is holding. Along with your all packages, you will be able to see the two set of files. One is hello controller, which is coming again default with the root page, which will be going to tell you hello from Spring Boot. I'm not sure this is the one we have downloaded right now, because many things I can see. Which is quite giving me a surprise because initially I never seen that. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. This is not the one which I have imported right now. No, this is not the one. I'm sorry. This is the one which we have downloaded right now. But do not worry. This is almost the same. It is not going to have anything additional. Whatever we have talked about so far, it is valid on this also. The only thing I'm surprised that the application.properties file is empty. And this is empty because default port is 8080. So I will highly recommend you, if you have any application running on this port, then try to changing to 9090 or anything whatever you prefer, the 4-digit number. So I've cool. Fine. So server.port you have to change, and that is advisable. if you are sure some of the server is using 8080 port. Now, if you open the Java folder, this Java folder is not going to have anything other than Spring Boot application. So this is your main program where you are actually trying to run this. You will be able to see one of the annotation used, entry point class in Spring Boot. So you can create your own entry points from where you want your application to start up. But the default is coming with your application name itself and holding the main method. So there's a lots of customization. And what I told you that pretty important things with this Spring framework is they are highly configurable. They are not forcing you something to do by like this way. No, so this is their default one. So let's say somebody wants to create their own. So look at this. This is also one of their on to start with their own implementation. And you can create one implement called command line runner. You can have command line runner, something like this. You also have some set of uh, application start runner. Lots of things are there. There you can provide your entry point. But for now, you just focus. Spring Boot is coming with one of the main method, which is by default created for you, which is holding at the rate of Spring Boot application annotation. This annotation is very interesting and one of the entry point of your application. Wherever this Spring Boot is there, it is having the all the stuffs. You can see it is a combination of many annotation, and those annotations are kinds of at the rate of Spring Boot configuration, at the rate of enable auto configuration. It is also having at the rate of component scan. So initial version of Spring, when it came, you have to mention all these annotation on your Spring Boot class wherever the entry point is there. But what later realized by the Spring people, they thought, why can't we give all this combination under the at the rate of Spring Boot application annotation itself? So that is the reason, if you see now, you don't need to do anything additional at the rate of enable auto configuration kinds of annotation. These all are coming as a part of your one annotation called at the rate Spring Boot application. So with that configuration, only thing I have changed here is my port number, server.port. If you want that running on the 8080, even you don't need to do this configuration change also. But now what I'm gonna do first and most important things, since it is a Maven project, do as a run as Maven clean. So this Maven clean is going to take in care that there is nothing additional libraries has been there. If some of the missing download is there, that is also going to be downloaded. It is going to delete your target folder content, which is the major task by Spring Maven clean. Then after you have to go for Maven install. The moment you do Maven install, Maven is just start checking the all dependencies required for your application has been downloaded properly or not. And also these dependencies are going to be downloaded in one of the folder called .m2 folder. Yeah, so .m2 folder is the location where your completely downloaded.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay, so now one problem you can see here, it is going to give some error. It is saying your application is currently running on JRE, but Maven is compiling a program also. That's the reason you have to change it to a JDK. So what I can do here, go to properties, Java build path, JRE, and change it to JDK. Apply and close, right click, run as Maven install again. So after doing a Maven install, this time I'm hoping that build supposed to be a success. This guy has created a jar also. You can see that building jar, and some of the missing dependencies is still there. That also has been downloaded as a part of installation process. Okay, so I think some of the application is running on this. Now it's time to run this application. Right click, run as Java application. So if you run this, you are going to see your complete console. no active profile. I will talk about it, what is profiling in that. Initialize Tomcat with the port number which you have given. So idea is whenever a Spring Boot is coming for first time deployment, it is first loading your properties file and it is checking what are the configuration has been provided by the user. Whenever any configuration is provided by you, then it is overriding the default configuration. Like you have given port. So this guy has checked that is there any information provided for the port, and Spring Boot engine found yes, there is a port information given. So he has overridden that complete configurations related to port wherever it is used. Now at the end you will be able to see Tomcat is started on port 9090, whatever I have given. So to quickly verify that, let's go here, put a local host, give the port number which you have given 8090, and you will be able to see white label error page that is clearly saying that this application is not given any mapping of if some error occurs what page have to be shown. But since you are getting this white label error page, it means your Spring Boot application is responding. But to get a proper flavor of Spring Boot, what I will do quickly now, I will be going to the Spring Boot application and creating one controller, in fact, REST controller. So go to right click on the NIC package, go to other, create a class. I'm giving hello controller. Okay, click on finish. Remember, Spring Boot is mainly for REST API kinds of things. So you have to use the instead of controller, use the REST controller. We got REST controller, then after you have to create one method which is going to entertain the particular request. So I'm writing public string get hello, and this guy is going to simply return us hello world from Spring Boot, enter. You also have to map this with one of the request mapping annotation where you are saying what is the URL if somebody is hitting, then this method have to respond. So pretty simple. I have just one REST controller which is holding a method called get hello, and this is going to be entertained on the starting of your application itself. How can we do that? By the help of request mapping, you can do. If you simply give slash, it means whenever anybody is hitting your home page, the value will be coming. If you want to give some set of URL, then you can put slash hello, slash welcome, whatever you want, you can give. After doing change, I have to stop the running instance of Spring Boot, and then after again run the Spring Boot application. This is working. Go to your page and now re-enter the same URL, and congratulations, you are able to see the messages coming from your REST controller when you are hitting the home page. This is nothing but hello world from Spring Boot, and that's the pretty simple way to develop any application. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.